and the omnibus. So I was forced into the Archers when I was a child. And look, it's come back to bite me later on. I'm awash with this stuff.
The Archers is the world's longest-running radio show, with more than 15,000 episodes broadcast. Despite being a rural flavor show, The Archers is recorded in the heart of...
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging into some really intense source material, looking at two crises unfolding in a small community.
Yeah, these aren't just minor disagreements. We're talking about moments where, deep personal grief and some serious political clashes force two women into making huge decisions that impact careers, families, the whole community, really.
Absolutely. And the sources we have are rich with dialogue, very high emotion. You can feel the pressure.
That's right. They show us how loyalty gets tested, loyalty to family, but also to the community, and how people try to grab back some control when things feel like they're spiraling.
So our mission today isn't just to recount what happened. We want to dig into the why, the psychology behind these big choices made under fire.
First up, we'll look at Meadow Farm, how grief and, frankly, a mountain of debt push someone towards a decision that seems almost, counterintuitive.
And then we pivot to the village shop, an emergency meeting about a volunteer, George, which just completely blows up. It ends in a pretty stark professional ultimatum.
Both stories really highlight how tangled up the personal and the professional get in these small settings, and how fast one person's choice can shake everything up.
Okay, let's get into it. Meadow Farm first. The immediate trigger for Esme Mulligan's breakdown is almost strange. An apology about her bread delivery during her father's funeral.
It sounds small, doesn't it? But Susan Carter from the shop calls to apologize because this van showed up right in the middle of the service.
Even though they'd specifically asked her no deliveries.
Exactly. And this apology, this minor thing, it just lands on Esme when she's already completely at the edge. It symbolizes that lack of control.
Yeah. She admits later, talking to her neighbor Ruth, she says, "I'm not a weeper, not usually. But on that call, she just fell apart."
Fell apart and was apparently quite rude to Susan because she just couldn't cope, and it left her feeling, her word was useless.
That feeling of uselessness, it's powerful, isn't it?
It really is. Sometimes when you feel you can't fix the big thing, the grief, you latch onto smaller things. But for Esme, the problems just kept piling up.
Because it wasn't just the funeral interruption. She tells Ruth she found another box.
Yeah, more unopened mail. Just stuffed behind an armchair.
And that's not just paper, is it? It's like tangible evidence of her dad struggling and this financial mess she's now facing.
It's crushing. She describes it as an endless maze of red bills, just stretching on and on, that image, that feeling of being trapped.
That's what seems to push her. Right from that point of despair, she flips. Suddenly, she's got this fierce determination.
It's quite a pivot. She announces to David and Ruth, "I know what I have to do. Do what Dad wanted." She's going to try and take on the farm herself, make it work.
Wow. Okay, given her lack of farming experience, that sounds bold, maybe a bit reckless.
From a purely practical standpoint, yes, extremely risky. But think about it emotionally. She's turning overwhelming grief and chaos into a project, a purpose. It's about honoring her dad.
So it's a way to cope, almost. Trading financial risk for emotional direction.
I think that's a big part of it. She does clarify, though. It's not like she plans to become a farmer forever.
Okay, so what's the actual plan, then?
The idea is to keep the farm running a going concern, she calls it. Just long enough to sell the herd and the business as a functioning unit to the next tenant.
Ah, I see. So trying to preserve the value, not just sell off assets piece by piece.
Exactly. She thinks that saves something worthwhile, and crucially for her, it would make Dad happy. It's a short-term, highly motivated strategy.
But her neighbors, David and Ruth, they're farmers. They must see the holes in this.
Oh, absolutely. They applaud her spirit, her determination, but they are very skeptical about the realism.
The source mentions Ruth saying the farm could just swallow that up in one gulp.
That being Esme's savings, her small nest egg, which she immediately says she'll use to pay for casual labor.
Okay, why is that significant? Wanting to pay for help?
Well, it shows she doesn't want to be totally reliant on neighbors' goodwill, which is understandable. She wants independence. But David and Ruth know how hard it is to find good casual farm labor. They mentioned Tom, another farmer, struggled badly with the same thing.
Right. It's not like finding someone to mow the lawn. This is skilled work, presumably.
Absolutely. Livestock, machinery. It's specialized, often needed at short notice, and expensive, especially in a rural area where the good people are already busy.
So they see her planning to burn through her limited cash on something that's really hard to get and costs a fortune anyway?
Precisely. It makes her whole going concern plan look incredibly fragile right from the start. A classic clash of determination and harsh reality.
Okay, hold that thought, determination versus reality. Let's switch scenes now, but keep that theme of high-pressure decisions. Same morning, Esme's dealing with all this.
Susan Carter is walking into her own storm over at the village shop committee.
Right. This is a totally different kind of pressure, isn't it? More...
Introducing the Archer's Mug, where elegance meets everyday comfort. Crafted from premium white ceramic, designed with vibrant peekaboo colors inside, simple, modern, and stylish. Start your day the Archer's way, with warmth, familiarity, and the comfort of voices you've come to love. As the stories unfold on the Archers, let this mug become part of your daily ritual, a small reminder of life in Aldridge. Practical for every home, dishwasher and microwave safe. Available in 2 sizes, 11 ounces and 15 ounces, designed to fit your lifestyle. Enjoy your favorite drink in a mug that connects you to Britain's most beloved countryside story, The Archers. For more information and to order your very own The Archer's mug, follow the link below and make it part of your daily routine.
political. Community standards being enforced.
Definitely. She gets called into this emergency meeting because of complaints about her grandson George volunteering in the shop.
And the complaints are serious, not just whispers.
Apparently many complaints, according to the committee chair, Veronica Chambers. And they named names Brian Aldridge, Lillian Mitch, specifically mentioned in the sources as having formally complained.
Sounds personal, like there's history there.
Oh, it feels deeply personal. Susan's defense is all about loyalty and principle. She argues George is trying to get his life back on track.
And volunteering is part of that.
Yes, she sees it as a good deed, a way for him to restore his reputation by, quote, looking his detractors in the eye. She thinks the opposition isn't really about George, it's about Veronica Chambers having it in for her.
Okay, but her partner, Neil, he sounds a warning note, doesn't he?
He does. He's the pragmatist here. He tells her straight, you're mixing up work and family.
Which can be dangerous, especially when you're running a vital village service like the shop and post office.
Exactly. Neil points out the village needs that shop. He suggests she might have to let George go just to keep the peace and save the shop from falling apart because of this row.
He also mentions George needing a proper job, doesn't he? A real job that pays real money.
Yeah, implying this volunteer gig isn't a long-term fix for George anyway. But Susan's not focused on the job aspect for George. For her, it's about his standing in the community, his reputation. And it's about pushing back against what she sees as unfairness from the committee.
So why does she feel she can push back so hard? What's her leverage against the committee?
Well, that's key. Susan knows her value. She's not just the shop manager, she's also the postmistress. That's crucial.
A dual role?
And she's been doing it for years. She says she does an excellent job, handles many a crisis, even chased a rat or two. She's basically indispensable.
She is the shop in many ways. The institutional memory, the daily operational linchpin.
Exactly. The committee might have the official power, the titles, but Susan holds the actual operational know-how. She knows, and they probably know, the place likely couldn't function without her specific skills and experience, especially covering both roles.
That definitely gives her confidence, which sets up the big confrontation. The committee meets, they make their decision.
And they tell her, very firmly indeed, that George cannot volunteer there anymore. Full stop. It's an ultimatum from them.
They probably thought that was the end of it.
Big miscalculation. They underestimated Susan's resolve and her willingness to use her leverage. She reveals her response to Neil later.
And it is.
Nuclear option. She tells him, unless they reconsider, I shall have me notice in and resign as postmistress too.
Wow. So she's not just quitting the shop manager job, but the post office role as well. She's threatening to pull the plug on the whole operation.
Completely. She's basically saying, you want to push me on this point of principle about George? Fine. Let's see how the village manages without any of these services. It's an incredibly high-risk counter-ultimatum.
Daring them to call her bluff, knowing the chaos it would cause.
And then she turns the screw on Neil himself. After telling him her plan, she asks him point blank, are you with me?
Oof, putting him on the spot. He just advised caution, and now she's demanding absolute loyalty.
Yes. She's forcing him to choose between his practical concerns for the shop's survival and her personal stand. Prioritize her principle over the community's needs, essentially, making the personal political and vice versa.
That is intense. Okay, so let's wrap this up. We've looked deep into these two situations. Two women under enormous but different kinds of pressure.
Esme, driven by grief, legacy, trying to wrestle back control from this financial nightmare by taking on the farm.
And Susan, driven by fierce loyalty to her grandson, principle, risking her entire livelihood and a vital community service with this ultimatum.
And the way they make their decisions is fascinating, too. There's a contrast.
How so?
Esme, for all her sudden determination, seems to have this built-in mental safety net. She actually tells herself, well, if running the farm doesn't work out, you can make another one. There's a kind of flexibility, permission to fail, almost.
Right. Whereas Susan, there's no flexibility there, is there?
Not at all. It's hardline, non-negotiable, resign or they back down. That's it.
Yet for both of them, the act of deciding seems crucial. Making the choice, whether it's Esme deciding to farm or Susan deciding to resign, it gives them immediate relief, doesn't it? A path forward, even if it's perilous.
Absolutely. It replaces uncertainty and feeling overwhelmed with a clear, if risky, action plan. It provides immediate, short-term stress relief, even if the long-term consequences are huge.
Esme's risking her savings, her sanity maybe, for legacy. Susan's risking her job, the community hub, for principle.
Which leads us to the big question, really, for you listening. Susan's ultimatum hits the community structure head-on, relying on her indispensability. Esme's choice is more personal financially, but could doom a piece of local heritage, the farm itself.
So which path poses the greater long-term challenge? Which choice, the political hardball or the emotionally charged gamble, is likely to send bigger ripples through this community?
Something to think about as these situations develop. Thanks for joining our deep dive today.
Until next time.
So, what are you doing now?
Just getting ready for the next episode. Just
And,
moving mics around.
So, what do you do?
I do the spot effects on the arches. Any
Are you what we
movements
call Foley then?
and- kind of. Yep.
Okay. And these are all part of the paraphernalia of production.
Yep. That's the ball bar. That's.
This one.
Yep. That's.
Haley so wanted to be in their own place when their baby came. It's due in 2 months. Not much chance of that now. No. I mean, it would have been a stretch for them financially, mind, but I just wish there was something practical I could do to help them, Caroline.
I think The Archers has had this immense popularity over the years, basically because it has always very accurately reflected the reality of life and living in a rural community at whatever